In this episode of the Unnamed Political Podcast, we'll be discussing the race for the House of Representatives, Russians in Syria, and changes in government throughout the world.
Rarely is the question asked, how is our children learning?
My fellow Americans,
corporations are people, my friend.
Our country is in serious trouble.
I never sent any classified material.
Man is not free unless government is limited.
Bringing you opinions on historic, current, and international politics. Welcome to the Unnamed Political Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 12th official episode of the Unnamed Political Podcast. I'm your host, Clark Walder.
And I'm Jack Horvath.
Before we get right into the topics we're going to be discussing today, we'd just like to give a shout out to our Instagram followers. We recently broke 900
about to hit
on the website, and those are actual followers to all of our friends out there who think
did not
that they
buy
real.
A single one.
I don't even know how you do that. But we would like to give specific shout-outs to followers such as A Touch of Timothy. We're just kind of going around randomly. KK Otto, Robin S. Webb, Strong Charlie, Conservative Dudes, G4V USA, and of course, the typical liberal.
Definitely
he is a giant
great
channel that is very, very popular. Thank you, sir. Please give us a shout-out. But, alright, let's get right into it. So the race for the House of Representatives is getting into full swing. After the Pope's visit, which we discussed in the previous episode, Speaker John Boehner decided to call it quits. This, of course, is left... Well, he's resigning now.
Did you see that when he was walking in, he sang, like,
yes, he was
he
was not sad to be leaving.
What a wonderful day.
Yeah, so... But this has obviously left a power... Or hasn't quite left it, but it will leave a power gap in the House of Representatives that needs to be filled by somebody. And we both have varying opinions on who it is. Who do you support, Jack?
I support Kevin McCarthy.
And I support Jason Chaffetz.
I can see why. Because Kevin McCarthy, clearly, based on the news, has pretty poor communication skills. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was liking Kevin McCarthy, but then after his remarks about the Benghazi committee, he's now been kind of hurting the party. Yeah, that flub, you can't have flubs like that, because now actually, recently, the Clinton campaign has built an entire attack ad, an entire series of attack ads around that one political flub, where he implied, for those of you who don't know, that the Benghazi committee was created solely for the purpose of taking Hillary down a peg.
Which is not true.
You don't think it's true?
It's not true.
Okay. I also don't personally think that they solely designed it for that. But why don't you support Jason Chaffetz, Jack? We'll let you get your 2 cents in here.
I think Jason Chaffetz is too young, too inexperienced. I mean, I'll give him that. He was the chairman on, what was it, the House Oversight Committee, which... I don't know if that's the one that questioned Hillary Clinton. Probably wasn't.
No, but he recently did get some attention in the relation to the Planned Parenthood, hearings, where they had a Planned Parenthood come in and talk, and that was kind of, I guess, one of the first time, or one, not the first time, but one of the first times I started to see his name in the news more, and then obviously announcing his bid for the House, or the head of that, Speaker of the House. That's really boosted it up.
Sadly, I don't think he has a good chance of getting in.
You don't think he does?
Jason Chaffetz, no.
Well, because
Kevin McCarthy has the largest support.
I think he can take enough votes away from Kevin McCarthy that I agree with you. I would like him to win, but I feel that it may end up in a stalemate between the two, because he can take away just enough to prevent Kevin McCarthy from winning based on what we've read so far.
I think both of them have broad support from the Republican Party. From most of the Republicans, I think it's an even chance.
Yeah, good point.
50-50.
So, sorry if I've been talking real fast, but basically, McCarthy, he can't afford to... I think we call him McCarthy. It's MacArthur, I think.
I think it's McCarthy.
McCarthy, sorry. But he can't afford to lose 29 Republican votes, or he can't win the chair, basically. And Chaffetz says his supports in the state, he has over 50 supporters at the moment, meaning that could cause quite a few losses in his regard.
I think based on his current communication issues, I'm talking about Kevin McCarthy, of course,
yes,
that I don't think he'll lose 29, but he might lose a decent amount that think that it wasn't a political issue, the Benghazi, panels. Again, it's 50-50. When do they vote? At the end of the month?
I think they have to vote right after Boehner resigns, because the House can't really function without a speaker, because for those who don't know, the speaker decides basically who gets to talk. So the speaker is responsible basically for what gets done in the House. So this is definitely starting to get a little bit more heated as they're trying to find somebody who can balance, basically kind of do what Boehner was trying to do during his tenure, which shout out to John Boehner. You will be surely missed.
Now,
But,
do you think that he left too soon?
I think he did. I don't think he should have resigned.
Well, actually, he was planning on leaving last year because, I think he also resigned right now because
Well, he was
we
going to
might be
resign.
on the eve of a government shutdown again, and he wouldn't want to be the speaker that was remembered for 2 government shutdowns in his tenure.
Tenure, I believe is the
Whatever.
proper pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
But yeah, I can definitely see where he's coming from in that. I think he was doing an okay job. I think obviously he wasn't doing the best job possible, but I think in the situation he was in, he was definitely doing the best he could. So I'm sad to see him go. But I think that we definitely need to see a speaker who is able to, I suppose, balance between obviously the growing gap between the Tea Party conservatives and more moderate Republicans, which is just really starting to cause conflict within the party and preventing anything from getting done.
I also think he has to appeal to the Democrats and try to
Well,
work
yeah.
with both parties
Whoever
so
the
he
new
can get bills passed and actually get stuff done in Congress for once.
Because right now, I believe Congress has a fewer than 30% approval rating.
I think it's like
That's-
20%. Like it's sad.
It's pretty bad.
I think Boehner had a 20% approval rating, to be honest.
Well, you can't.
Harry
wait
Reid
for it.
and had 20% too. They were not.
Harry
doing
Reid,
very well.
he's leaving also at the same time. So that we're both.
Seriously?
Yeah. I think he may have already left, but basically they're. We apologize for not knowing as much about Congress as we'd like. We were trying to do as much as we could on this. We will definitely be continuing to do more research on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harry, he either has left or is about to leave, which is basically it's been leaving power vacuums throughout the Senate in his case and now in the House of Representatives. And also Harry Reid, he is now kind of ending the Mormon Democrat.
Yeah.
That being well known. There obviously still are many Mormon Democrats out there.
We have Republican
But
Democrats.
they're
Jason Chaffetz.
Republican Democrats.
Oh, Mormon.
There we go.
Mormon Republicans.
Yeah, we definitely have Mormon Republicans.
Jason
but,
Chaffetz.
Yeah, he was a symbol of the increasingly rare Mormon Democrat. But all right, so I suppose we've covered that. Moving on to our next topic: Russians in Syria. Isn't that nice?
That's an interesting one.
Yes, World War III seems to be getting closer and closer, which is actually a series we're planning on making at some point in
I
the future.
predicted this. I predicted World
He
War
did
III would
actually.
happen in 5 years. A couple years.
I don't think a world war is quite there yet. I think we still have
No, I don't think it's
quite a
there.
ways to go before we need to start building the bomb shelters again.
I'd agree.
Well, I'm just saying. Hopefully, this won't stop, but obviously Russia has now, it's been confirmed, they're sending ground troops into Syria.
That's such a nightmare.
Yeah. So, and also they've been violating Turkish airspace. So how do you think this will play out in the international stage?
What scares me is that American and Russian things, and they're flying around and doing airstrikes. And what scares me the most is that they'll cross through each other and something bad happens, or Russian ground troops are on the ground, and Americans accidentally bomb the Russian ground troops. What would happen after that? I don't know. I don't want to go into another Cold War, but with this situation it seems possible, and it's scary too to think about it.
Well, I feel like, unfortunately, Putin, so I completely agree. So you think, what you just said is that you think that there's going to be conflict between the two, accidentally, and that's going to spill.
Yeah.
But I think it's clearly showing that Putin has just been really trying to go out there and show that Russia can force the United States to back down. So I think we now have the issue of Obama and whoever the future president is going to be, the first term of the future president, it's going to be really needing to repair a lot of our foreign policy. Mm-hmm. But because we're just going to see that Obama and the future president are going to have to decide whether or not to either just back down and let Russia do everything, which I personally think is a terrible idea, sets a horrible precedent. Mm-hmm. But we also need to find the balance of standing up, but not to the point of provoking Putin into war. But I personally believe if you stand up to Putin, he is smart enough to know that he can't win in a conflict.
But that's not Obama. Obama's been backing down.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Obama. I want to fit that into a video at some point.
Thanks, Obama.
But yeah, I do not think that this could end well for anybody. No. There's obviously Russia being a supporter of Bashar al-Assad, basically the newest Saddam Hussein style figure in the Middle East.
It's an East versus West war if it would ever happen.
You think? So yeah, obviously. So we're working actually on a World War III series and thing, and you think this is a greater picture of what's going on in the conflicts between, I guess, the Eastern world and the Western world? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's definitely Russia's really just kind of starting to emphasize that.
I think so.
China, we have Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. Now we have Russian aggression in the Ukraine. We have it here, and it's starting to get dangerous. And we also have the potential for Russians now. So basically, there are kind of, I suppose, three forces fighting in Syria, or three major forces that we can really split into groups. Right. We have the Syrian army, like the government fighting.
Right.
We have rebels trying to overthrow the government.
Moderate rebels.
Moderate rebels, yes. And then ISIS.
Radical rebels.
Quite radical. And so Putin has promised on his heart, which we know exists somewhere.
Somewhere.
Probably locked away in a closet. But he's promised he's only going to be bombing Islamic State troops. But unfortunately, I don't really think we can buy it from him. I think we're going to see things starting to spill out of control in the area, and I'm nervous. So, I suppose this is definitely kind of showing what's going on with just Russia in general. With their aggression, do you think there's anything that can be done to stop it, Jack?
A new president.
Do you think
that's more tough on foreign policy?
Do you think we need to get
I think we can all agree on. Well, it doesn't have to be conservative. It can be anyone that's willing to, stand up to those really aggressive foreign leaders. Mm-hmm. And right now, that's not Obama. You got to be honest. He's backing down on Iran. He's backing down on Russia, and soon he'll be backing down to who knows who. But it could mean life or death. But luckily, he'll be gone in a year. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to worry about that.
I totally agree with that. It doesn't need to be a Republican, because I think just saying, a Republican has to do it kind of just increases partisanship or something. Mm-hmm. We need somebody who's going to be stronger in foreign policy. Yeah. But also with that, I think it just kind of goes to show we need to stop treating places like Russia and China as just trigger words to kind of get people saying, Russia's doing something or China's doing something. We need to stop trying to do things like that, because we have the problem of you're either using as trigger words, and if you're blaming it, it's called China bash and that sort of thing. We need to figure out meaningful solutions with these nations that are going to have... Because obviously, you can't just go to war with China. You can't just, hopefully, go to war with Russia.
Because we might lose.
I don't think we would. In my opinion, we would not lose, but
more in the
war is not a good scenario in any sense. We shouldn't. War should not be our option, but we need to be tougher and find a way that we can show that we need to start acting like the most powerful nation on the earth, which we are. We need to keep acting like that. And unfortunately, we've just seen under Obama, we haven't done it. So, to all of the presidential candidates who are watching this, you need to be tougher.
Yeah.
If any of you are watching it, please.
Donald Trump would be good friends with Putin.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He's
saying that.
Mm-hmm. He's quite surprised at that. Speaking of, so we're about to, now I suppose, speaking of Donald Trump, moving into changes in government, specifically international. However, in relation to international, Donald Trump has recently stated that the influx of Syrian refugees to the U.S. could result in a military coup. So,
oh God.
That's out there.
That's out there. Agree with them? Cool.
Yeah, tell us in the comments below. Do you think Syrian refugees will bring about the total destruction of our way of life?
Yeah.
You think it will?
No.
Okay. That could get us views. Controversy.
Just say yes.
Yeah. But so with foreign politics, I suppose, minor thing to most of us U.S. Centric viewers. Yeah. But Portugal just had an election, so please look that up. Their center-right government has just been re-elected.
Thank the Lord.
Yes, because actually in Portugal, their options are basically, I believe it's center-right, communists.
And socialists.
Or socialists, yeah. So, I suppose I personally would much rather have a center-right
Me as well.
party than socialist.
Don't really want a communist party running our nation.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of center-right versus socialists, something that I've noticed that I think people, I guess, haven't quite paid as much attention to, just to slightly digress, we'll of course get right back to it, but Donald Trump, if you look at most of his policies, you can say actually he's not a very far-right guy.
No.
With the exception of immigration, he's actually a very moderate, extremely moderate Republican in a lot of issues. His tax policy, in my opinion, is actually
extremely liberal. His tax policy,
to
some extent.
I wouldn't say. I
wouldn't say he's extremely.
He's not Bernie Sanders.
No,
but I mean,
he's populist.
He's willing to raise corporate taxes. He's willing to. It's a lot of things. He is getting rid of the estate tax, though. So
that's nice.
That's one conservative staple that he's keeping. But overall, he's pro-gay marriage, he's pro-abortion. He's very not sticking to consumer sales. But I feel this is kind of the issue. People are only paying attention to his trigger words: China, legal immigration, Russia. And that's what's getting so much momentum. Nobody's actually picking into his policies and saying, well...
That's not Republican. If the ultra-conservatives found out what is... Because they probably all support Trump. If they read his policies, they would not vote for Trump at all. Never.
No, yeah. That's why I'm personally trying to look for a more moderate person overall. But not Trump, because that's what I'm saying. If he wasn't so... ridiculously over the top and on immigration and providing unrealistic solutions and providing just a terrible foreshadowing of his foreign policy, I would be willing to support him if it weren't for those two massive dents.
Massive issues.
Reputation. Please come on the show, though, sir, if you're ever in the neighborhood. We'll try anything. But in just in other international politics, I suppose, the Canadian election is still sweeping up. That was actually our very first topic we discussed on the podcast.
After the lost episode?
Yes, we did have a lost episode on the first Republican debates that we're still trying to get to you.
Probably won't happen for a while.
Unfortunately, probably won't. And you probably won't want to watch it because there's nothing to watch in that.
Black and white. It's not white at all. It's just black.
Yeah, it's literally a black screen. But, yeah, so Canadian elections, for those of you who don't really care about them, they actually will matter because they will affect things like the Keystone Pipeline, depending on whether or not we have a Republican president or Hillary.
Yeah.
I don't even say Democratic first. I just say Republican or Hillary. That's how hard it is. We'll definitely be covering those debates, the Democratic debates, once they come up. But with the Canadian elections, basically Canada has three major parties that you really should be caring about if you're not a Canadian. They are the Conservative Party, hence from the name. They're conservative for Canada, so moderate.
Yeah, they're moderate. They're not as crazy as the Republicans, that's for sure.
Yeah. Would you like to take away the rest of them?
So after the Conservatives, you have the Liberals, who are pretty much the Democrats. I'd say they're
farther than Democrats.
They definitely are a little bit farther. They're more left-wing.
Jack, of course, is our resident Canadian on the show.
Yeah, and then you have the New Democrats, who are pretty much...
The NDP.
Pretty much socialists.
They literally only removed the word socialist from their constitution 2 years ago. So.
Then you have two other parties that aren't as important. You got the Green Party, which is pretty heavy on the environment, as you would imagine from the word green. And you have Bloc Québécois, which is French separatists, for the most part.
They want to get elected to a government they want to break away from.
Yeah.
And the Greens also, they are not exactly the most supporting party.
No?
Their leader wrote just recently did a tribute to a convicted terrorist who was returning to Canada.
MacArthur. Yeah.
Yep. Who severely injured several U.S. troops.
Killed a U.S. troop.
He did? Yeah. Oh, I did not know. So he literally a man who he committed terrorism. He's convicted. Obviously, there's proof. Telling, quote, "You have more class than half my F-wording cabinet," before being awkwardly let off the stage. And she was
probably drunk.
She's not even, I'm pro-immigration, I will first say it, but she's not even Canadian. We just want to point that out.
She's from Hartford, Connecticut, and lived there for 17 years of her life.
The only reason we're pointing that out is because we're also in that vicinity of the United States, so we won't give any more specifics than that. But yeah, so that means one day we too could possibly become the head of a major Canadian political party.
The Green Party.
Yes, we too could become the head of Bloc Québécois. You never know.
French separatists.
But, so that's gone. So the debate, between those three parties, the polls, it's been neck and neck. Every couple of days you're seeing somebody edge it. It seems at this point that basically, the party that's going to win just depends on what day the elections are on.
I'd say from September 15th on, it's the NDP's kind of dropped. And it's really liberals versus conservatives.
So they're actually, if you like politics and you want to just follow some interesting debates, they actually have some very, very good debates. Yeah. In the U.S., we've kind of had the issues of just very trigger-wordy debates, but they're very hitting on the issues, hitting on their policies.
Hitting other candidates.
Definitely hitting other candidates. Not literally. I wish they would, though.
They let... So much fun. The moderator lets you do pretty much whatever you want. He just kind of oversees it. Like in the Republican debates, they're kind of strict on what you do, but you can literally just have a discussion on the Canadian debates and get away with it with other candidates, and it works out.
Well, they openly allow it. They have an open floor-style debate. And yes, they're very polite, eh? They're very sorry when they interrupt each other. But it's they're actually very interesting, and the polls have been very neck and neck in this. Recently, actually, though, the Liberal Party, which people thought thought the race was going to be between the New Democrats and the Conservatives, but now the Liberal Party has just risen up. So this could be pretty intense.
I still think the Conservative Party will win, because if it's neck and neck, like 30% on 30%.
I'm holding out for Harper.
If it's 30%, it was like 30 to 30% for each party, right?
Yes.
And Conservatives have the most seats in Parliament right now. So if they all gain 30% and lose 30%, it's pretty much going to be the same as it was last year, with a couple gains in each party. And since the nearest, I think the Liberals had the second most seats at like 90-something, and then the Conservatives have 120. So if the Liberals picked up maybe 20 seats, they still wouldn't have a chance. So I still think the Conservatives are going to win the election. That's what I hope.
Yeah.
But who knows what's going to happen.
Please also come on our show if you ever visit the U.S.
Just giving shout-outs to anyone who wants to come on our show.
We need somebody on the show. We're hopefully going to get a guest host soon. But yeah.
Definitely. I want to get one.
Hopefully in our next or after that episode.
Gabe could come back after.
We could have Gabe. We might have another host on, a bleeding heart liberal, self-professed.
Socialist. Maybe a socialist.
We might also, we have two socialists actually in our school who we could contact. Yeah. But yeah, with the Canadian elections, it's very, very tense.
Neck and neck.
Up there, there's absolutely no chance. And for those of you who complain that in the U.S. we have the issue of, I don't want another Bush, I don't want another Clinton, they have the same issues up there. The head of the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, is the son of the basically liberal Reagan, I suppose you could say.
Yeah,
for Canada.
Well liked.
Yeah, the way that Reagan is received in the U.S. by conservatives and even to an extent Democrats, basically Pierre Trudeau, that's the same guy, that was his father. He was Prime Minister for, I believe, 15 years.
Yep, long time.
Briefly voted out of office and then immediately voted back in, almost.
Awesome. And his son is not the same.
Yeah, not at all.
Not the same at all.
But actually, and it is interesting, for those who don't know, in Canadian elections and for most parliamentary elections, this is the same in the UK and other nations, and Australia, New Zealand, former British colonies who didn't break away with the rebellious attitude us Americans had, so you wouldn't be Canucks. Yeah. But they don't actually vote who their Prime Minister is. They elect members of their parliament, somewhat similar to Congress, except if it was only one House or Senate, one thing. And whichever party has the most seats, the leader of that party becomes the Prime Minister.
That's correct.
So Stephen Harper actually, he doesn't have a seat. Or does he? I don't believe he does.
No, I think he does.
He doesn't?
He represents Calgary, I think.
Sorry. I apologize. Jack knows much more about the Canadian...
He's a Prime Minister, and I think is...
He represents Calgary?
Let me see.
I thought he represented something in Ottawa.
Member of Parliament for Calgary Southwest. Yeah, since 2002. So you are still a Member of Parliament from that specific place. Yeah. So,
All right. Well, I suppose that covers most of what we're doing. We're going a little bit over schedule. So please... subscribe, comment below, tell us what you want to see more in future videos. Follow us on Instagram, at Unnamed Political Podcast.
If you follow us, every episode we'll give 5 people a shout out that follow our page.
Yeah, I suppose so. We'll see how that goes. So please, if you comment on our pages, we may give you shout outs too. Please keep it clean. We've had some less than appropriate comments.
We've had some hate comments.
Not hate comments. Not that.
No, not hate. Criticism.
There we go. That's the words of the law. But yeah, so please give us constructive criticism though. We thrive.
We love it. Yeah, we like it.
Yeah, so please just keep sending us your love. If any of you guys would like to possibly be guest hosts, we may be able to get you on through a conference call.
Yeah.
Take the Political Compass quiz online and email us your results and why you think you'd be a good guest host. At our email address at unnamedpoliticalpodcast@gmail.com.
We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
I'm Clark Walger.
I'm Jack Orbat.
See you next time.
Adios.